everyone, this is Saneth here again. I'm the traveling mom boss. I love to travel on a budget, guys, and I'm here to share all my traveling adventures with my kids with you and also share some tips and tricks on how to travel on a budget. Today's video is all about how to plan your budget vacation with your children from start to finish. So guys, I just did a 3-month European vacation with my kids. We had such a fabulous time, and I actually have a course, a comprehensive course that will be in the description below, that's going to give you more details on how to travel on a budget with kids. So some of the things that I'll be discussing today will be in that course, but it's just going to be way more information. So if you're interested in that, please make sure you click the link in the description. So as I said, today's video is all about how to plan a budget trip with your kids from start to finish. So I just want to let you guys know, in order to make sure you have the best vacation and it is on a budget, you have to do a lot of research. So if you're a busy mom or father, family, whatever it is, you do have to take some time to do this the right way, which is to do a lot of research. This is how I do it, and this is how I have a fabulous time and get home and not have no regrets about my vacation. You're gonna have to first start thinking about how much money are you willing to spend on this trip? How much money can you save? How much money can you afford on a budget vacation with your kids? So once you decide how much money you can afford, that's going to help you decide where you're going to go. So you do need to know how much money before you decide where you want to go. So if you want to travel within the United States, it's probably going to be a little cheaper. Well, it really depends on where you're going. So there's some factors that's going to determine whether traveling in the United States is cheaper than traveling outside of the country, and I'll get into that right now. I always recommend going to a country where the American dollar is valued more, because then your money is going to go further. This is the way I travel because I'm a single parent and I pay for everything. So this is how I decide where I want to go. So once you decide what country you want to go to that's budget friendly, then you're going to start looking at flights. So it's very important to spend a lot of time looking at flights because the prices do change day by day. I also recommend doing your search on incognito, because once you do a search on your regular browser, it's basically going to save that information, and then you're going to see once you do a next search, the price is just going to start going up. So when you're doing a new search, whether it be the next day, later on in the day, or a week later, make sure you're doing it incognito. The website that I recommend to do your search from is skyscanner.com. This is where I get all my tickets from because I know I can find the best deals. And although I do use skyscanner.com to buy my tickets, I always go to the official airline company's website to purchase my ticket. I try not to purchase through a third-party vendor. Well, I had a really bad experience where the airline itself shut down, and because I bought my tickets through a third-party vendor, I was unable to get a refund. So that's something you do want to consider when you're purchasing a ticket. If you want to take the risk and just go ahead and get it because it's like $20 cheaper or whatever it may be, go for it. But I always recommend going to the airline's official website to buy your ticket. In my opinion, your plane ticket is probably going to be the most expensive thing that's going to cause a little bit of nervousness because I mean, it's expensive to take a plane, but I always say if it's about $200 or $250 round trip, go for it. Go for it. But the average cost, like as a budget traveler, I would say is no more than $400 per person on a trip to Europe, and that's round trip. So $400 is still a good deal, but if you're seeing a flight that's $250 and you have the money, I would say book it ASAP. Before you book your flight, you want to make sure you know where you're going to stay within the country that you're going to. As you know, there's many different airports within a country, and you want to make sure that wherever you're going to stay or whatever airline that's associated with the airport, that your hotel or your accommodation is going to be close by, so you don't want to spend a lot of money traveling from the airport to wherever you're going to stay. So before you actually book those tickets, I would do some research on the accommodation. So accommodations is the next step that you're going to look at because you need somewhere to stay. My favorite type of accommodations is through Airbnb because it always makes me feel like I'm a home away from home. And when I'm traveling with my kids, that's always the best option for me because I want to make sure they're comfortable. When they get a little bit older, we're going to try different types of accommodations, but my favorite budget-friendly option is Airbnb. So I would definitely go visit the Airbnb website to see where you want to stay and how close this particular accommodation is to the airport that you're going to be landing in, or the airport that you're going to fly to. When you're looking for your accommodation, make sure it has all of the things that you do need. Do you need to have a washing machine, a dryer? Do you need Wi-Fi? Are you going to be working? Does your kids need Wi-Fi for school or just to be entertained? Do you need to have a certain amount of beds or bedrooms? Do you need to have a stove, a microwave? All of these things are very important. I would write a list of what I'm looking for in my accommodation, whether it be Airbnb or a through like another options is hotelscombined.com. Please make sure you click the link below. You can use hotelscombined.com as another option to find a hotel. With an apartment style stay, you can still find some of the amenities that you would find with an apartment or a house through Airbnb. So make sure you write a list of what you're looking for. So when you do that search, if there's like a filter where you can check off those things, it's just going to make it a little bit more easier or less time consuming when you're doing that search on your accommodation. So the next thing you're going to be doing your research on is food. So you booked your tickets, you found your accommodations, now you have to think about food. As a budget traveler, I always recommend to cook. You can eat out as much as you want to. You don't have to listen to me, but if you want to save money and travel on a budget with your kids, you want to cook because kids sometimes they get tired of eating out. So always consider cooking. Make sure when you're doing your research of where you're going to be staying, you also try to see if the neighborhood has grocery stores or restaurants so you can easily get there. If you're a single parent like myself, you want to make sure you're in a safe neighborhood that has all those things close by so you don't have to actually travel or walk a far distance to get to it. So as I said, eating in is always a great option. So with groceries, my budget has always been about $100 a week, which is about $400 a month for my kids and I. This can be a little bit more or a little bit less. It depends on what they want. My kids love to snack, so sometimes it's a little bit more, but I always try to stay around $100 a week. I feel like that's like a normal budget of what I would have in America because we're 3 people. My sister also travels with us, so that does include her. So as 4 people, I feel like we have certain things that we need, like rice, meats, vegetables, fruits. You can be able to spend $100 for all of those things for 1 week. We eat out about once or twice a week. As a budget traveler, if you love to eat out, I always recommend eating out once or twice a week. So when you're doing your research or you're deciding how to distribute the amount of money that you're saving for your trip, you want to make sure you calculate how much you're willing to spend per week or per day for food. Put that down when you're writing down the amount of money you're going to be distributing for your accommodation, your flight, and for food. These 6 things that you have to consider when you're preparing to travel with your kids is transportation. So when you're planning your trip, you want to make sure you know what transportation is available in the area or the city you're going to visit. Do you need to take public transportation? Do you need to take the bus or the train? How much does it cost to take the bus or the train? How much does it cost to take an Uber or a taxi? Those things are what you're going to be doing research on. I do have to say that there's a website called numbeo.com where you can find out the average cost of transportation, housing, food, accommodations, everything on the city or the country that you're going to. So you might want to look into that before you actually start researching everything. Should have mentioned that before, but if you're still watching, you can still do that. So make sure you check out numbeo.com. If you want to know how to spell it, it is in the description. Make sure you click that so you can get directed to that website. But that's a great resource to figure out how much money you're going to be spending on everything I discussed in this video. The final thing that you do have to do some research on to plan the perfect budget-friendly vacation with your kids is activities. Make sure you do research on what type of activities is in the area where you're going to be visiting. I always recommend to do research on activities in the city center. That's where a lot of history is going to be in the city that you're visiting. So there's usually a lot of free walking tours and things that you can just walk around and see for free, and also low cost activities. So make sure you do your research. So once you're already there, you already know where you're going to go, what you're going to see, and how much you're going to spend. So you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want more information on how to plan a budget-friendly trip with your kids, please make sure you get that course that is in the description. And you guys, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you on my next video.